We all have.
What do I push, the blue button there? The blue one?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you, and I'll share the link when they put the video up. I'll make sure that you get a copy of that.
Okay, tell them to say hi and invite me to your language class. Maybe I'll be able to get in and talk to you.
Oh, awesome. I'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, tell them to send a Zoom or something.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Is Henhawk? You said Henhawk or
Yeah,
his last name? They're from Grand River, right?
Grand River.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, are we ready to get started? Where's my water? Okay, we'll get started and then I'll go get it. All right. Well, hona gadi wahi gajokwa suwadan husias yarde. Gazit Anzrio Yojets Kahawinoji and Dudgets going to start on Nata Runi. Retenuarado Garunga Gari, I guess, yet the Sota Asatanka Garakwa, then yet in the Stadio Hunzagi, then a Beguskat Nikanungwe. Detenuarado, a Guades and Egan Yatter the Gerdo, then a Guego or Quadzere Onuko Supra. Detenuarado, yet the Sota Gunhan there on the headstone, like on the Guri or that the Hawakwe. Ayunkiat again, Hatam Dawe Aron Hetzera, Gazat Stassera, Neganungwe. Damdawe aron hetsera asat nigat dardige ne ganyaga haga radinyato nanata runi dano riskarewage damdawe aron hetsera agwego onagor gayana rasada skana goa dano ori huio gari wagori shunsara dano gazat stasara damdawe ori huio ne gari gurio. Okay, so as you know, we always have to carry on the Gadi Wadekwa before we get started. That's where we identify the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. Oh, I'm waiting for translation. No translation. Okay. All right, let's just go straight into it. Last week, we apologize. It was a very tight schedule. We had the moon teachings here in the afternoon and then went directly into a beautiful moon ceremony out by the lake. If you were here, you know how magical it was. It's almost like as if it was scripted, like it was a movie being played out. We had arranged earlier in the day to have the fire, you know, that as soon as we get there, we'll just light it. But things went a little bit longer. We were moving a bit slow. Anyways, we were supposed to be there at a certain time, and we went a little bit further, and we thought that, well, it was going to be that we would be late, but it worked out perfect. We got there by the water, and there was a cloud cover. And when I seen the cloud cover, I had said that, I thought we're going to have to wait until the moon comes up over the clouds. But it's like as if the moon came up in front of the clouds. As soon as I lit the fire, soon as I lit it right away, the fire was caught. It was a big fire right away. And somebody said, look, I forget who it was. Look, there she is. And it's like as if it was, like I said, like it was scripted. It was perfect. Wayagirna did the opening there, and then everybody had their chance to participate in the ceremony. So it was beautiful. It took a long time because there was a lot of people. So the Kanienkeha class was just couldn't happen. So here we are now. I don't remember if there was anything from the previous week that we said. Does anybody recall if there was anything that we said we were going to address first thing? If not, then we'll...
No, just to
Nothing?
say that last time we were talking about how the individual becomes the collective and the interrelationship within that in the longhouse. But we had pretty much.
Okay, how about just to refresh our memories, can we go back and look at the last
Mhm.
list of words that we did? That way, try to keep it in a flow. But what is it now? It's been 2 weeks that we've
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks that there's been. Okay,
So it's the follow-up from the previous one that we made actually in NDG.
ability. All our time and all our work is focused on keeping the house in order. Okay.
That's it.
And that's it. Okay. Okay. All right. So we were talking about basically Kanienkeha longhouse person. What a person like that would be. Let's see. From the other one, I don't know if we had it in the previous week about the ceremonies. Was that? Does anybody recall? All right, we're gonna have to go back and look. You know what? How about this? If we just go around and we'll just take different words and phrases and see what's on everybody's minds. Because like we said, it's been a couple of weeks since we had the class, and I don't really remember like what the last class was, and we want to try to keep it flowing. So what we'll do is next week before the class we'll go over what the previous classes were to try to keep that going. So for tonight, we'll just go around and take whatever phrases that anybody has. So keep in mind, we'll try to focus it around culture or the society, the day-to-day life of Gano Cesarono. Anybody that would be in the longhouse.
And Janet just raised her hand.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Janet?
Okay, I think you were talking about, we were trying to understand how we could live as a group of people and yet individual, something to that effect. You know, it had to do with consensus.
Okay, all right. In the longhouse, everyone is responsible for everyone's children. And just a example of that, and I'm sure examples too. When I was a kid, I think I was about maybe seven years old. It was winter time, and I was hanging on a bus in front of my grandmother's, and the bus stopped. It was a school bus, and I remember the bus driver. Why, Gary, you might remember this guy. I don't remember his name. He was dark. He had a big face. He was a big guy. He was the school bus driver in town.
It was
Anyway.
Rod go to leave.
Yeah. He gets out. He stopped the bus. He gets out and he kicks my ass. And I yell at him. I said, like I'm crying. I said, I'm going into my grandmother's. I'm going to tell my father, and he's going to come out and he's going to kick your ass or whatever I said. You know. And I go in there and I'm all crying. And I tell my father, the bus driver kicked my ass. And he asked me, why'd you do that? I was hanging on the bus. And my father kicked my ass too. So this is, today, people would say that if somebody kicked your child's ass, you know, for hanging on the bus, oh, that'd be bloody murder. First thing they do is they call the police, you know, and if it was a school bus driver, that school bus driver would lose their job. They'd get fired for what? Looking out for the best interest of the collective, of the people, of the children. And so this is how it is within the longhouse, that the people were so collective that even mothers were not like overprotective of their children if somebody else would be correcting their child. They would see first, they were always calm and level-headed and ask about, well, what happened, you know? Why was this done? And if it was within justification, then just like what happened with me, my father or the parents would then either affirm the thing and say, well, something like that's what you get, or good for you, you know, something like that. You know, you're not supposed to do that, or else the parent would then scrutinize more if the person was justified. It's just to say that within the society, everybody looked after each other's children.
Okay, Edith,
Ah,
that word, ganusesned, erase it. We'll put another word there.
okay.
Okay, ION, KWA, NON, HSES, RONU, RONON. Rono, yeah, okay. Iguanuses Rono, Aguego, Yuguadiri Hoyoni, Exaogoa.
Would there be any breaks at the words?
Well, Yugua, you could go Yugua up to there. Nuses. Oh no, okay. Then Aguego no. Yuguadiri Hoyoni, Yugua.
Dari Wayani
Deri.
Exaogo.
Deri. Okay, and then the rest should stay. Wayoni.
Somebody has to mute their, who is that? We could hear somebody else talking too.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. Iwadiriwayan, Exa, Ogupa.
Yeah, Exaogoa.
Yeah, Exa. Yongwa no Sasrano. Okay, all right. We ready?
Mhm.
Yuguanuses Rono, Aguego, Yuguadiri Hoyoni, Exaogoa.
Yongwa no Sasrano, Aguego, Yongwa Dari Wayani, Exa Ogua.
Yung wano sasorono, aguego, yung wadiriwayani, exa ogu'a.
Janet,
Yungwa ancestro runun aguego yung kwaderi wayan ni exa oguno.
Stephen,
Yonkwa Nusa Rono Aguego Yonkwatari Wayoni Exa Ogunha.
Lisa,
Iongwa non verona aguegon Iongwa dere wayani exca ogon
Elsa,
Yongwa nunse zumanu aguego ungweteriwayoni exauguna.
Very good, Elsa.
France,
Yungwa nonses runo, aguego yunquateriwayani, exa agunwa.
Desiree Arrow,
Yongwa nunses rono aguego yongwa teri wayoni exa agoa.
Yongwa Nuncesrono, Aguego, Yongwa Deriwayani, Exa Ogunha. Circle.
Okay, there's something in there in the first word, Yongwa no Sasrona, that just for people to be cognizant of. When you know what that is, Yongwa no Sasrona, obviously, Guayaguero identified that that's talking about where in the English it says in the longhouse. But in the English, you see, in the longhouse is identified separate from everyone. So longhouse and everyone is like two separate things. But Yongwenu Sesrono is then there, it's not separate. It's the people and the house combined. Wayagirdo, can you expand on that? Yongwenu Sesrono?
Yeah, that's almost like we the people of the longhouse. That's why in the American Constitution, they talk about we the people, and that's how we answer as a collective.
If you look into, say, anything in non-native history prior to contact with us, you will never hear, you will never see anything in their recorded history of identifying anything like we the people or the collective. That did not exist in the non-native world.
And Stuart, what makes it interesting is Yungwanu Sesrono, it's feminized.
How is it feminized? Can you describe?
Well, it's because it's the woman's house. It's not the men's house. But yet we're in it. We're in it.
So without, like, let's say in English, you'll hear house, longhouse. You don't hear female or male identified in that at all. But when you're thinking then of longhouse and the people, all of that is encapsulated or under the female, or it's all within a female derivative. So it's all happening within her house. There's a lot more here to grasp. This is just a little bit to understand. The more that, of course, that you're exposed to the language, which myself, I can't speak that much of, but the more that you're exposed to just the culture, meaning the ceremonies, the ceremonial way on a day-to-day basis, even if you don't know Kanienkeha, if you're speaking just English or French or whatever, your language or your discourse is going to start to be more balanced between the two genders. Your discourse is gonna, right now, without any of us noticing it, right now, and all of our discourse is very male dominant. But without noticing it, if a person is just thinking within the ceremonial cycle of the day, then that person is thinking from a balanced mind, thinking from a balance of female and male, but is coming first from the foundation that to have the balance between the female and the male, we know first that it is female. So within every dialogue, within every word, a word that you don't even know, you'll hear Wayagirdo saying these words all the time and just telling you, like here, it kind of just scratches the surface. We have to dig into it for you to know that it's rooted, that longhouse is rooted in that the word is a female word, and that within that longhouse is the collective of all the people. And it's not just the building, it's the living entity of the people itself. So a lot to know, a lot to be exposed to, a lot to pick up along the way. It's not that you're gonna, anybody's grasp everything in a short time. Even sometimes it'll take years for a person to grasp, because the language, it's not just a matter of just learning a language. It's a matter of, like we said before, learning the concepts, grasping the direction from which the Kanienkeha language flows from matrilineal reality. Okay, anyways, just to point that out, I know that nobody can really detect that or see that in Yongwa no Sesarono. If you just hear that, Yongwa no Sesarono, and ask anybody, do you hear female? Do you hear it rooted in female? Of course. Say, no, we don't recognize it. So anyways, from time to time, if there's something that you're grasping, getting a little bit of a better glimpse, knowledge of, then don't be afraid. Say it, even if it's not in direct connection to that word that we're learning right now, it may just open your mind in another area.
Janet raised her hand.
Okay, Janet.
Yeah, I have a question for Guido. What is the difference then between Radiksa Ogun-a and Exa Ogun-a?
Well, Radiksa Ogun is the males. Exa Ogun is like if there's 20 boys and one girl, then you got to go to the feminine. She owns the house.
Okay, so if there's one girl and there's 20 boys, it would still be Exa Ogun-a?
Yeah, because it's never their house.
Huh. Okay, Nyawa.
Yeah.
Right there is something very important, because this is something that blew my mind the first time that I heard that it's like that in French and Spanish. It's the exact opposite of Kanienkeha, where if you had 99 women in a room, they'll in French and Spanish, they'll refer to it as women, female. You throw one male in there and they're all identified as male. So here is a prime example right there as to that we are diametrically opposite. Now, when you consider all the crazy things that happened in the last 500 years, people may not understand it. Like you ask yourself a question: how come this happened? How come people did these things? You'll never be able to make sense of it. But how you can start to grasp the clash that took place here is that you look at the dialogue, I can't think of the proper word here, the language. You look at the language, and you can see the diametrically opposite realities of one forces of male dominance, where the Kanienkeha forces the male to comply with not a female dominance, but a female balanced reality. So in both worlds, there is a forcing of something. Like it or not, men are not, they're not prone to peace. So they have to be led down that path. And so you can see here the necessity of having a language rooted in peace and love, which means that that language has to come from the mothers. If not, you have a language from male that is rooted in his male ego, in his dominance, in his anger and his aggression, and everything that is going to be spoken will be spoken from that perspective. And that means then the world outlook or the world view is that perspective. And this is the reason why that the white European, the non-native male dominant world is a warmonger, because at the core of their thinking, they force themselves as male to cover up all that is female. Just right there, there's a cover up in language, knowing that there's 99 women in a room and one male goes in there, and you don't call it women anymore, you call it men. So that is a verbal cover up of reality. It's a forced cover up of the truth. And so here is a very key thing, very key that you presented that, Janet. And this might be something that we should actually maybe expand on or focus a little more on, maybe a little like Wayagiri, remember that commercial we did about Heritage Canada? You know, those
Yeah.
commercials, they're about
Yeah,
5
yeah.
minutes long. I was thinking that's what we should do. We do something like that. And just imagine a snippet of you show, you compare Spanish, French, and then Kanienkeha. And you show how the corruption is there, eliminating the reality of female, that the language, Spanish and French, eliminates the reality of female from the oration. Something for us to exploit, something for us to look at. Okay, anyways, everyone is in the longhouse, everyone is responsible for everyone's children. Gerdo, anything else you can think of that would be important to describe a longhouse person as to what they're what we're supposed to do and that kind of stuff, you know? Let's think now.
Well, we have to, I know the word in Kanienkeha, I don't know it in English. Yung guarihuatogo, onekti yung guarihuatogo hage. Oh, okay, that's it. It means we must be responsible. That's probably one of the highest things within the longhouse is you got to be responsible, meaning you got to put everything else aside.
Okay, does that identify in all things?
Yeah, that's almost like Oyaner and Royaner. They have to have that quality. If you don't have that quality, you can't be sitting.
Okay, then this will lead into it's within the qualifications. We must be responsible in all things. This
Like
is
the qualifications of law. That's why we have RHI. That's the law.
well. Okay, so law is responsible. Laws identified in there.
Yeah, we have to be responsible in law. So no one can sit there unless they have that quality.
Okay, so this means you're talking about the individual inside. You know how we ask this question all the time? Who here wants to destroy our Mother Earth? Raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand. And then who here is destroying our Mother Earth? Raise your hand. That example of showing that we think one thing, but we do the opposite, which shows us that inside our body and spirit, our wires are not properly connected. So here, when you're saying we must be responsible in all things, it's talking about that process, that the person is well connected within their own self, their body and spirit. They are they're walking in balance in this world. So okay, let's just we'll just add something in English underneath it, and we'll see how it plays out. We must be responsible in law in all things. to keep Gayandawana, to keep balance within the nation. There's something that's not said there. Something before that. Inside.
What about, like,
Mm,
Would the word honor mean something?
It's not the thing that we want to get to.
within the earth? I mean, you know, because like the longhouse is from the sun up to sundown. So
No.
it's not just our nation.
No, no, there's something in between that to keep the balance within the nation. There's something in between that and the previous thing that Wayagero just put there. We must be responsible in law and all things. There's something in there that's missing, because to be responsible in law and all things, the person's got to be well balanced inside. So we're talking about that process inside. So to keep the balance within the nation, that's a result of it. But
it's Ohunza, H-O-N. Maybe I made the mistake. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't put the N in.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Ohunza, okay.
Right.
You want to break up that word, the sentence? We didn't say that last sentence.
Yeah, Anyuwariwa, yeah.
Onyugwa. Rihwa. Dogun. Hage. Onyxi Onyuwarihwa Dogun Hage.
okay, the break's in the wrong place there.
Okay, you break.
Try it at Anyu. Take the one out between the A and the R. After the HI. Wait. Onetsi Anyugwari Wat Dogo. Okay. Can you say the word, Wayagero?
Onyxi Onyuwarihwa Dogun Hage.
Wado. Take that out. Put it after do. And take that out, yeah. Onetsi Anyugwari Wado Gahage. Does that sound right? Anyu?
That's right.
Okay, yeah, that's where the break is.
Onyxi Anyuwari Waduganhage.
Janet?
Oh,
Onyxi
hold on,
Onyuwarihwa.
sorry. I'm trying to get the screen up. Okay, Onexi, in Yonkwari Wado Gahage.
Onyuwarihwa Dogun Hage.
On Yonkwari Wado Gahage.
Go Hage.
Dohage.
Stephen?
Onexi Ayon Kwari Wato Ganhake.
Lisa?
Let's try something.
Onexti Yonguare Wado Ganage. Ganahage.
Go Hage.
Gohage.
That's the one.
Gohage.
Okay.
Elsa.
Anexi anu guaribato kahage.
Hans.
Onekti anyo guari wato gahan ganhage.
Yeah, that's the one.
Harold.
Onexti onyong guari hage.
Onexi onyon wari wado gan hage. Circle. And so today the order is Stuart, Edith, Janet, Stephen, Lisa, Elsa, France, Harold, and myself.
Okay, just write this in English. Inside their mind, from inside their mind.
That's it?
No, no, hang on. From inside their mind. Their words must manifest to be true actions. This is what's missing from
That's in between the two, right?
yeah, that goes in between
Mhm.
the last two. So their body and spirit must be connected.
In the same price.
The next line. This is something, their body and spirit must be connected. This is something that we have to bring into the normal everyday lexicon of the people. Because this is something that is not known or thought of the people. That people do not think that that something else is in control of their actions on a daily basis, because they're not ever confronted with the being posed the question of the way that we present it when we say, who here wants to kill our Mother Earth? Nobody raised their hand. And then who here is? Everybody raises their hand. So you see therein is a process of their body and spirit being connected. This is something that we have to bring back into the daily dialogue or understanding lexicon of the people.
Okay, do you want to go back to that other word before we move on to this? Because we didn't do it a lot.
Oh, wait, the other one, it's in front of this one now, right?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, so we got to break that one.
This one? Okay, ungwani gung. Ungwani gung ragunsu. Can you say that one word? Ungwani gung ragunsu? I mean, two words?
Yeah, we don't need another.
Because we've done it so much now. Ungwani gung ragunsa ni dewe. Ni dewe ta jiniji. Okay. Odewado. Odewado. Yaneru. onde wadoyaneru sege. Okay. Guanigo ragoso. Guanigo ragoso. Ni de weta. Guanigo ragoso ni de weta jiniji. Onde wadoyanerungo.
Okay, wait, we're gonna have to rearrange ni de weta. Put weta together. Ni, put a break right there. Ni. And right after de. Let's see how that looks. Ni de weta. Let me read it out and see if it sounds okay to you. Guanigura kunso ni de weta siniji andawato yanarun sage.
Yeah.
Ni de weta. Ni de weta. For everybody else, with the break there like that, ni de weta. Is that understandable for everybody? Is it easier like that?
Yes.
Ni de weta. Okay, let's try it like that.
Okay, Guanigo ragoso ni de weta jiniji onde wadoyanerungo. Onde wadoyaneru sege.
Guanigun ragunso ni de weta tiniji andawado yana runsege.
Guanigun ragonso ni de weta tiniti andewado yaneronsege.
Yung guanigun ragunsa
Weta.
nidi weta nidi weta ziniti and the wado ian
Neru sege.
Inerun sege.
Yeah, neru sege.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
That's good.
Sorry.
Unquanico ragonso niteweta chinichi entewato yanero sige.
On Guanigon Ragonso, Nide Weta, Tinitsi, Ondewado, Yoneru, Sege. Sege.
Guanigo ragonso. Ni te muerta, chinitsi. Ante wato yanerunse.
Very good, Elsa.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead, folks.
Okay. Ongwani gun sarunzo ni de wata tiniti endo wado yaneron sege.
Good, very good.
Harold.
Thank you. Guanigon ragunsu ni de weta sinitsi onde watu yarun sige.
Nguanigun ragunso ni te weta zinitsi ondewado yaneron seke. Circle.
And there's two questions. There's France and there's Steve.
Okay, let's go with the questions.
Okay, so my question is that since we're putting all the wording in the mindset of being in peace, like great law of peace, like just I often pretend like all in peace and we're living in peace. So peace should be in our mind and in our soul. Like we shouldn't have been corrupted yet. So I guess if we want to go back to the best of the great law of peace, I guess that's where we have to aim. So it seems like being longhouse would be this first of all. I don't know if I make myself clear.
Well, that's it's clear because in that word, what the Yanarunsiga, see Oyaners in there, Oyanarunsiga on the good path,
Okay.
which is the great law. And again, it's the woman's house, so it's got to be Oyaner, not Royaner.
Yeah, well, I thought there would be like some kind of wording or some kind of ways to say that being longhouse is first, like being happy and full of love and so in sync with everything else around us, you know, like I don't know if there's like an expression or something to say that kind of feeling, like sometimes it says we're happy, something like that, but maybe that should be like a quality of the person of the longhouse.
Yeah, but no, that's good that you mentioned that. So right at the end, all we have to add on to there is skona, peace, and it covers all of your sentiments.
After the day after the Great Peace was formed, the dialogue changed completely. Of course, when you're at war, you're going to have war words. When you're at peace, to have peace, you can't be using war words. So the day after peace is established, this is where it's identified that it says that we uprooted the tallest tree and buried our weapons of war in the chasm. Now, this means, as you know, what Waiagirdo identifies all the time, body parts, all of that, us, it's always reference to a tree. So when we dig up the tallest tree and bury the weapons of war under it, you're identifying, of course, the person or the nation or whatever it is that is the most warmongerish. So it's that person that is utilized as the example. And so it was in that way, Ayawanta was the example within the Kanienkeha nation that then everybody followed that. They all had to do what he had to do. And that was, from that point, they were all people who were at war. They all had to do what he was doing, which meant now that he was working for peace. Again, his war dialogue is not there. When you're thinking of peace, war dialogue, swearing, all of that, anger, aggression, it's not there. That's why when you listen to Waiagirdo talking, like say for instance, if we're a couple of weeks ago, we were at an event and he was doing the opening and people were saying they're having a hard time hearing him because in Kanienkeha, this is a peaceful, quiet language. You've always, well, some of you have heard me say that the French are very loud. They're very loud people. It's because the language itself, the discourse, it's in a way, such a way that it is like an aggressive thing. It's like an overpowering thing. And of course, well, maybe French people won't like that or accept it or believe it, but ask any native people and they'll tell you, yes, French are loud people. Their discourse is loud. But you hear the native people, the discourse is low. You hear Waiagirdo doing an opening, you hear it very low. You hear Anishinaabe doing having a discourse, they're even lower. Their voices are even softer. So it is what you're saying there, France, or what you're alluding to. It is from peace. It's starting right from day one when as soon as you're out of the womb and into this realm, that especially the males are trained in peace. That's why we are not under the control of males. We're under the control of our mothers. This is why it's identified that the children belong to the mothers, and that it's up to the women to say when their sons will then be released to the men for their next training in life, for their next life training. But it's the mothers who see how their sons are, and the mother might say, no, you, my son, you need more training here. You are not ready to be turned over for the life training of the males yet. And so,
Well, the one word they would use there, like we wouldn't be yelling, like the French start yelling right away. So did the English. They learned that through the warring thing. But with us, you just say Royaner or Yagoyaner one that one agatstade. That means he or she's words became stern. When you start yelling, you already know they lost it. When somebody starts yelling, they lost it. That's the time you attack them, then they'll run away. That's a flight, or what do they call that thing in English? Fight or flight. Fight or flight. So us was never to give your hand away, it was to be stern. That's what made a good leader and leaderesses.
but it's important to understand here that in English, a simple twist on a word like firm or stern, this makes a big difference in the meaning. So it's important to know that what Guayaguerre is talking about here in this, how we are stern or firm or stand our ground, is rooted in the Adumwa, right at the very beginnings of a person's life when they are brought into this world. It is in the Adumwa where that person is named, and they are named by their uncle, and the uncle holds that baby and walks up and down within the longhouse singing that baby's name and speaking. This is the root, the origin of that sternness, identifies that I am of the longhouse. My head is firm. So it's rooted in that, meaning when my head is firm, then the sternness that is later on in life in standing your ground, it's not that you're being stubborn or you're just quite simply standing your ground. No, you're firm in your knowledge, in your position of law, which then dictates to you what your position in any given thing will be, knowing you will be on the proper side. You will not be on the wrong side of the issue. Okay, so that's where certainness, firmness, sternness, the ability to stand strong even up against an unsurmountable, against unsurmountable odds, against an enemy that can go on fighting for 500 years. This is how you can maintain it, by having the children raised firm within law, which again does not mean you take our position because it's us. No, you take the right position because you know law, and you leave law to make the judgment. And when law makes the judgment, you fall on the winning side always. If you are outside of law, if you're on the wrong side, then that is rooted at the core of your being as to saying everything, not just about you, but about your mother, about your bloodline. And this is why the non-native people are looked at from the native people in a way of that you are not complete humans. And you might be offended by this, but think about this. You have blood on your hands. I do not have blood on my hands. Guayaguerre does not have blood on his hands. We cannot have blood on our hands. That means as we are brought into this world, our mothers bring us into a clean world, a clean society where we do not adopt or inherit a corrupted legacy. So it truly is in this way, rooted from the Adunwa, that each successive generation is preparing a solid ground for the next generation to stand upon. We're never living for ourselves. We're never living in the today, in the here and now, which for the non-native people, to live in the today and to the here and now separates you from the past. And this is why in the non-native world, you can have blood on your hands without ever addressing it. Imagine, it's impossible. In the natural world, it's impossible to have blood on your hands. According to law, it's not permissible. So within the non-native world, you can see that there are so many physical mechanisms that are missing, that are necessary to keep society in balance, walking the straight and narrow. But when these mechanisms are taken away, then you have a corrupted society. And that corrupted society is free of responsibility. So all the things that you can see here is what makes a longhouse person human. You can see what is the problem then in the non-native world. These are your problems that you have. These are your issues that you must figure out how to address. How do you address from inside your mind that everything, your words, your actions will manifest into peace? How do you address that when you don't have that mechanism? What do you do to put something there that will make all your thoughts come out of your body in a manifest in a balanced way? You don't have that in a non-native society. What it is everything that you are learning here, everything that you are learning from the Kanienkeha is what will give you balance, because this is what is already tried and proven, what has been tried and true for thousands of years now. So yeah, let's, where did we leave off here?
There's a Steve that also.
Oh yeah, okay, Steve, sorry.
I was just wondering, the statement that you had made, so their body and spirit must be connected. I know depending on the context, the word spirit can mean like many different things. What does it mean in relation to that statement?
Okay, there's only two things. You'll hear a lot of people saying body, mind, spirit. You know, mind and spirit are not separate. Some people will say soul, whatever. That's all encapsulated in the same thing. So when you think of mind, think of spirit, because it's your spirit that is rooted within the physiology of the brain that enables the spirit to be able to comprehend itself, to be able to then comprehend other. And then once it can comprehend itself and other, then of course, that's where balance will come about within it. And this is how physical creation has come about, because as you know, science will tell you this today, is that physical matter is an illusion. But this is a very strong illusion, because all of us can experience the reality of this illusion, the reality of this dream. So the dream is very balanced. It's where the dream begins to manifest into physical, which is body. Anything else, it's spirit. We can, other terminologies, whatever, just confuses it. So whatever is physical is body, thought, words, this is spirit. perceptions, whatever isn't yet physically manifested, that's all spirit.
That's
Yeah.
why we use the word, we go with the word, so that's why when we crossed the fire back and forth from the clans, we only have 3 us, but the other nations, they got more, some of them 13. So that's why you've got to come to one mind. So your mind, body, and spirit is in there. So the mind, once everybody has the same mindset, then you have really no problem. It covers those 3 bases, like.
And there's Janet. Also.
Steve, does that answer your question, or is it still vague?
No, that's a very good explanation of something that I think is like really complicated to define. That's kind of been my understanding of it, and I've heard that from many different people, both like native and some like excuse me, what do you call it? Like quantum physicists. They said the same thing. That state between like a physical matter and almost like a latent potential, like an energy or like or an energy wave. So yeah, that definitely is in line with some of the things that a lot of the things that I've heard, and I honestly believe, like myself, I think that's what it is as well. So yeah, it was very helpful. Thank you.
Well, last night I met with an interesting group of 50 Quebecois, and they were like really professors and they were writers. And so I didn't know why they wanted me, but they invited me to go there to see a native's perspective on the wetlands. So I said, well, okay, I'll go. At first I said no, as I always do. And the guy said, he insisted, he says, they want you there. They want you to talk. So I says, okay, all right. Like, it's not that I was afraid to go there because they had all these things in front of their name. So when I got there, he says, I'll translate for you, which he didn't have to. Only one word I didn't know. And I did my thing in French and English. And I explained to them about the wetlands. I said, we always had, like Ganawag, we moved from New York State, well, what is now New York State, and we brought the name with us. And I said, we always live in a swampy area, so that's the wetlands, because that's where our medicines are. And I said, when you think about it, I said, all use, and they loved that, all these, I said, you're no us, we don't call you women. I says, we call you life givers. And they really liked that name. I says, take the men out of you and you're independent. So you gained your independence. I said, the group I'm with, I says, they've done that. And I said, so they said, we're going to adopt that too. We want that. I said, good, well, it's yours. No, I said, you, from what went on today, tomorrow talk about it at breakfast and then it'll spread more. And they were all happy. And then I said, when you're talking about protecting the wetlands, I says, use as life givers. I says, if should and when you have children, I said, your womb we're born in water. So that's you're a microscopic planet. All use life givers. So I say your wetlands. You have to protect your wetlands, so that when you have children, they're in this purified water, and they come out from a purified water. And I says, by mummifying the life giver's voice, you are covering up wetlands. So half of this world, if there's 9 billion people, there's 8.5 billion wetlands of life givers walking the planet right now. So that, and a lot of these countries, they have no voice, the life givers. So that's covering up a life, that's covering up wetlands because some of these countries don't have swamps. So they kind of like that, you know. I says, well, that's what my take on it, and they wanted to see me again. So I says, well, if I have time, I'll go.
So
That's
that,
nice. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm
So
done.
that was interesting what you said. You said if you want to adopt it, it's yours. And I think that's like a big misconception in the non-native world for non-natives who come from a non-native culture and are introduced to it. I think a lot of them, I used to think this years ago, not anymore. They think that, you know, this is something that's separate from me. I guess by that, I mean, it's something that isn't mine. But I think that the truth of it is the Oklahoma way is the only right way. And for you to think that that's something that I can't have or isn't mine, no, that's the only right way. Any other way isn't the right way. When you know, the only right way is the Oklahoma way, living in balance with Mother Earth. It's the only right way. And the only right way isn't anybody's exclusively. That's my understanding of what you just said. And so that was pretty cool. I could be wrong though. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, as males, we have no right. We cannot step into their wetlands. It's not our business, not for us to say. But collectively, if you get all the women and explain to them in the proper manner that they all have this wetland and it's in their womb. So they have to make that decision. But how many countries where men would kill these women, these life givers that think that way? But that would make a big change.
But what you just identified is that it's like what was said about the ceremonies. The ceremonies belong to the people. So it's everybody's. So the right way belongs to everybody on earth. Yes. In the non-native world, the problem is, or what makes the non-native world, the male dominant world, what makes them feel like it's not theirs is because they've been so disconnected from it for so long, and they've been taught that it's evil, that it's bad, you know, to squash it. So when you're taught that, and you come to find out that what you've been squashing, that you shouldn't have, that you got the wrong perception, it takes a while for that perception to kick in and to actually get the person to stop their hands from doing oppressive things. The mind could think it right away. Yeah, no oppression. But the hands are regimented. They're locked into muscle memory of hundreds of years, and even in a lot of cases, thousands of years of repetitive bureaucratic nonsense that locks everybody into believing this is the way, or this is how it's got to be done, or this is how we got to take. And nobody can think outside of that now. So everybody in the non-native world is feeling it's not theirs because they've been turned against it. They've been brainwashed against their own. You've been taught to depend on vaccines. The world is taught, take vaccines. So the world is taught to do something that isn't natural, to do something that subverts your ability to continue living in a natural way. It removes your ability to try to correct things to where you can then live conducively. It's removed completely. So something very important, what you said to Steve, that we're gonna steal a catchphrase off of you. You said something very important here, And Waigerdu, we got to focus on this also because it's really only in our world that we can use this play on words. The only right way is the Ungwe way, or the Ungwe way is the only right way. You know, so we know that in Ungwe way, it's not the English word way, but that's where we'll play on words. The Ungwe way is the only right way. So that could be a
But Ungwehunwe is the continuous being. So that's after the what you call it, the Gayanarasaragoa was like ratified by everyone. It was the continuous. It was never to come off that path, and that's what it is. Because people say Ungwehunwe means real people, or what do they call it? There's some people. Indian. They'll say it's Indian. Ungwehunwe means the continuous being.
the true being, the real being, the true people. You know, it depends on.
Depends on what you're talking about, the subject.
It really depends on the individual who's using that word. It depends on your knowledge, really, how deep your knowledge goes as to understanding that. So, yeah, anyways, what time are we at right
It's
now?
8:21. Janet raised her hand. We didn't do this phrase yet, and we didn't repeat the one that we just finished.
Okay, let's take Janet's question and then we'll go and we'll finish doing the translations for whatever's there. And then we'll continue after that. So Janet.
Okay, so I'll try to be fast. So in my mind, I'm thinking that the mind connects the body and the spirit. And my question is, well, I have two questions. Is that correct? And also, would the mind and the swampland and the connection is the water, Oniganos, and then I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but.
You're making a lot of connections that are connected on different levels. Let's say you're saying the land, compare that to the body, swamplands. Okay, on the land, swamplands, in the body, in the brain, we know that different things, different experiences, happy things releases different chemicals into the brain. Dopamine and that, whatever else, you know, all those chemicals are necessary in the brain, and that is what keeps the brain watered, liquefied. You know that if the brain dries, like if you become too arid, that this affects the brain. It takes away any of the dopamine or whatever other chemicals might be in there, and it actually makes the physical mass of the brain dry up. It becomes smaller. So yes, there is direct links to swamplands, to wetlands, because like what Waigerdu brought up about that, about the swamplands, the wetlands, this is where all our medicines are and whatever, this is where things grow. This is where life flourishes, but at the same instance, you know that male dominance is covering up all wetlands all around the earth, everywhere, for some reason. Think about this. Right now, there is enough land right now, you know, for people to where you don't have to go put a house, build a house on a swamp. You don't have to go and fill in the swamp to put your house there. Why would you do that when there is already solid land elsewhere? Think of this, like almost all the entire state of Florida pretty much is like this now, which means they're moving land from one place that by moving it makes it now swampy, or if it becomes too low, it will become wet and swampy there, soggy. So you're taking good dry land from there and putting it over where there is wetlands to try to fill that up. So you're actually shifting wetlands from one place to another, where a wetland, let's say, for instance, in the body, where's a wetland? Well, okay, I'll think under my armpit. That might be a wetland. Okay, well, where we sweat from heavily, profusely, okay, there, or underneath the nose, the upper lip. Okay, so now just think about removing those sweat glands from your armpit or your lip, and let's put them somewhere else. Those sweat glands, put them where you don't need them. Put it right above your eye. You know, put it right there. So where whenever it's going to be wet now or soggy, it's all going to go into your eyeball. So you can see anyways, just as an example, if you're shifting land around, it's going to have its negative effects upon the land, upon life on the land, the way that life is distributed on the land. And therefore, it's going to break down the level of happiness that can be attained. Not only your level of happiness, think about this. You go and cover up a swampland. You put landfill there. This is what Ganawagi is doing. They're landfilling everything. They're cutting down all the trees. They're digging up or covering up the swamplands. And so afterwards, over a period of time, you're not going to know it. You're not going to realize it, but your level of happiness, your human experience is going to be, it's going to be a lower experience. But beyond that, think of you're covering up a swampland. Think of all the life that you're destroying, you're landfilling. Think of all the otters.
Look what you just said. Just what you just said. A message came to me. Is when you wear a mask, you're covering up the wetlands.
Yeah.
How you wear a mask, you feel smothered. So that's what's happening to the land.
And in a wetland, like what you're just in comparisons to a mask, in a wetland, you know that it's hot, it's muggy, swampy, there's bugs. And imagine if you put a cover over that, what would happen? It would become like infected, because all of that extra swampiness, mildew, and all of that, it won't be leaving. It won't be able to rise into the atmosphere. So this is a prime example, a good example of what happens when we're wearing a mask. It's covering up our wetlands. It's keeping it right there. It's making us sick. It actually breeds disease. It festers it in areas like that. So anyways, a lot of connections that we can see there. Okay, did that cover what you were asking or what you were saying? Janet?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there somebody else that was it?
No, that's
Okay, so let's just finish with the English, the translations, and then we'll go into the saying them.
Oh, which is this one? This is what we're working on now, Edith?
yeah. So their body and spirit must be connected. Yes.
The words must be true. Words are more than just something that we hear. Words are, of course, travel through the air at us. That is a wave. It is a physical thing. Sound, words, peace is a physical thing. So when you're speaking peace and it's traveling, from you to me, just that single word, peace, is a physical thing between you and me. And so therein is the example of the necessity to have proper words, only good words, not to have bad words, for our children to hear, to be where we're in a world of just bad words. And in a world of bad words, there's no peace. You know, so words are much more than just something coming out of our mouths, because words are manifesting from within us. These are thoughts. So we got bad thoughts, that's what happens. That's what manifests in the world. We got good thoughts, we got peace, that's what will manifest in the world. From the individual, if you're having these thoughts of, I want to have peace with you, then nothing is dependent on the other person. Everything about peace is dependent upon you, because it's now your action or inaction dependent. Sometimes inaction is what will maintain and establish peace. Somebody says something, oh, you're stupid. And what? You overlook it. And overlooking it is what establishes peace. To the point of where that other person who's like that, oh, you're stupid, or you're stupid, or you're stupid. Eventually, you overlooking that and that being the example to the others, eventually that person, it will be going from you're stupid to you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid. Until you don't hear it anymore. And this is our goal, to speak peace until war is not heard any longer in this world. So this is your responsibility. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's not the so-called United States Army or the Canadian Army or the Chinese Army or Russian Army. It's not their responsibility to stop war. They are war. To stop war is the people's responsibility. And where it starts is from speaking proper words. Okay, anyways, so we'll break the word up then.
Guayarunda. Yeah. Ungwa. Yerunda, Dano, Ungwa. Dunhe.
Doing Hetsura, that could stay one word.
Okay, yeah, we heard it a lot. We heard a lot of these words, we heard them a lot. Onakti Donwa Sundaram. Donwa.
Yeah.
Sundaram. You want to break that some more? Donwa Sundaram.
No.
No, okay. All right. Guayarunda, Danu, Guadun Hetsara, Onakti Donwa Sundaram.
Guayarunda, Dano, Guadun Hetsura, Onekti, Dawa Sundara.
Guayarunda, Dano, Guadon Hetsera, Onexi, Tenwasontera.
Yarunda, Dano, Donetsera, Onexi, Denwa Santera.
Ungwa Yarunta, Danu, Ungwa Ton Hetsara, Nexi, Donwa Suntara.
Angwa Ironda Danon, Angwa Don Ethra, Onexti Dewan Zon Deron.
Ah, Donwa Sundaram.
Dewa Sundaron.
Ongwayeronda, Danu, Ongwa Lonetsera, Onexi, Namasondera.
Ugwayeronda, Danu, Ungwa Donetsera, Onexi, Da Wasundera.
Ongwa Yeronda, Danu, Ongwa Don Hetsura, Onexti, Donwa Suntara.
Ungwayerunda danu ungwatunhetsera onexi dawasutera. Circle.
France, you can tell that even though I'm not like the best speaker, I can tell that you're getting you're improving.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
We haven't done the break on this one.
Aga.
Usually.
Contari. Ungwa. Ungwa. Yeah, we don't need another break there.
Okay, so, okay. Agagun tseri harage, agagun tseri harage, ungwa hunza gesso.
Aga Gunsari Harage, Ongwa Hunsa Gesso.
Agagun seri harage unwahun sagesu.
Agahun seri harage, onkwa sagesu.
Aga gun seri harage, ungwa hun sarakeso.
Aga gonsere haga harage ongwa hanser han gehoson.
Ungwa hunza gesso.
Ongun agunson geson.
Look, ungwa hunza gesso.
Ungwa hun gon geson.
Correct.
Aga kunjeri harnge. Ungwa hun sagesu.
Agua gun seri garage, ungwa un sagesu.
Agagun siri harage. Ongwa hun segesu.
Agagun seri harage ungwahun sagesu. Circle.
We need to translate this last one.
The right way.
It's a play on words, Wayagerdu. So you're the one that's gonna have to figure what's the proper word arrangement to make it rhyme, make it sound. Ungwe Hungwe is the only way, the right way. So whichever way fits the best.
Oh boy. No, I got it.
It was so cool today. We actually have to have a fire on right now. I got a fire going in here tonight. A very big difference from the last few days there, where it was like what the whatever they call it, the heat index or something. It was like 38 degrees Celsius. And then right now, I don't know what it is, but it's cold outside.
18.
19?
18.
18? That's 20 degrees difference.
Okay. Okay, eat it. That word Ngwahneha, and then in between put A apostrophe ONHA. Okay, that's it. Ngwahneha amhat kayedi.
Aunha.
Aunha.
Aunha. Ungwehueneha aunha tkayeri.
Unwehuweneha aunha tkayeri.
Ungwe hunwaneha ahunha tekaeri.
Unkweyun weneha ayunha tkayeri.
Okay, wait. Hang
Unha.
on. Time out there. Somebody else, I think it's France. You have your mic.
Sorry.
That's interfering with when the other two last speakers were speaking.
Okay, I'll read it again. Ungwehueneha amha tkayeri.
Who is it?
It's me, but did Steve want to go ahead again, or am I good just to go?
No, whoever's turn it is, you go.
Okay. Ongwa waneha aonha tekari the last one, please.
Tga. Make your K sound like a G. Tga.
Taga,
Yeri. Tkayeri.
tagari. Tagari. Okay.
Tkayeri.
Okay.
Who's next?
Me. Unweneha. Auna tkayeri.
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 Okay.
Ungweneha ahunha tkayeri.
That's the one.
Ungwehueneha aunha tkayeri.
Ungwehueneha ahunha tkayeri. Circle.
Yeah.
That could be, we could even work that into a song, you know? Work it into yeah, something that becomes more like what's the word I'm looking for here? A catchphrase, you know, something that will stick in people's minds easy. See it here and there, hear it. Okay, what time are we?
8:42.
Okay, maybe we should do these words and then see what happens from there.
To record Guayaguero, you mean?
Huh?
To record Guayaguero, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, how many phrases or words do we got there right now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 1, 5.
Just 5, that's it? Is there anything else that anybody can think of that wasn't mentioned here that you know is a part of law, part of the Longhouse, you know, what you would think associated to a person who is, they are good? Anybody think of anything?
Transformation.
Okay, but, well, that person actually who would be appointed, they wouldn't actually go through transformation, because if they are appointed, they are that from the time that they are young. So for us today to be thinking of it, it is a transformation. But for the people who are in it, it's not a transformation. They were like this right from the time that they're born.
There's
I have a question on the,
Wait, somebody raised their hand?
yeah, there's Lisa and there's friends that raise their hand. Sorry,
Okay,
Jen.
Lisa?
What about the idea that you are responsible for your own learning? Like even as a child, you're not specifically taught. I mean, at least the way I was raised, it was more like you observe, you choose your actions based, like you learn what everyone does by, you know, do you know what I mean? Like we don't go to Sunday school. right? You don't go to science. You as a child learn in community, and what that means is you have to do a lot of observing and understanding, but you're responsible for your own learning, and that carries through.
That it sounds good. It sounds right from where we are right now. It sounds right and proper. But in the good world, think of this: parents, are they going to leave anything up to their children for them to find out or discover on their own? That wouldn't happen. The fact is that in the Longhouse, people are born into a corruptionless system, which means there is nobody in the society that will ever play the devil's advocate. Because to play the devil's advocate means to present something other than what you know is the proper thing. So that will never happen in the native world. And it will never happen that we just leave our children to discover on their own. We have created and established mechanisms within the society, the physical counseling structure of the society, the clans, all of that, make it so that every person is provided for. Not only you're provided for food and even spiritual health, you're provided for things in advance of that you would never know that would arise on your path. So that you're never going to be in the scenario of where our children are going to have to be learning something or doing something based on their own power or their own energy. Parents, life, creation does not do that. We teach our children. We do not leave any openings for corruption or for them to say, leave it for them to discover, because then we will be leaving corruption on their path. So we got to understand, we're talking from the Longhouse, where peace is established, where all these things are supposed to be in the proper way now already. So this is from where all the discourse of where the Kanienkeha language comes from. The Kanienkeha language is a unique language. The 5 nations languages are unique from all the other languages. They are not like separate from them in saying that they can't understand each other, but they are separate in as far as a more in-depth articulation of knowledge of peace, of knowledge of social interaction, of a higher state of evolution. So in a higher state of evolution, we don't leave things to happenstance. We make sure that we provide it in the very specific way that our children are going to have always access to the truth right from the time that they're born. They're never going to have to discover anything on their own. The only time this has ever happened is when something goes out of balance, like in the non-native world. The male dominant mind went completely out of balance, completely insane, spreading war everywhere. This is the only time where any children in the line of the Kanienkeha, it's the only time that we've been confronted with something new, where we have to discover it. Any other time, it's not going to happen. Our mothers are going to provide the mechanism where you can access all the knowledge of anything, any given thing at any time, under the watchful and very specific guidance of law. So all of that to say that no, our children, our people will never end up in a ridiculous scenario of where we got to discover something, because if that's the case, then it's where whatever it would be is not in order with creation. So we would have to discover the monster. And that's what we're discovering. We are in the process of discovering the monster that has become the white male dominant warmongering mentality. We are discovering that. And that's the only thing. We will not put anything else to our children to discover ever. I don't know if that's addresses what you present, Lisa.
Yeah, no, that works. Thank you very much. That explains it really well. Thank you.
And there's France and there's Janet also that raised their hand.
Okay, France.
I just was wondering if the word impeccable came out, and I was wondering if you could make like a phrase in the phrase that Wayagaru translate about this loving, caring, non-corruptible human longhouse being stern, firm, and stuff like that, like in a phrase like that.
Oh, that's we have it in there because we say amha at kayeri, and that's impeccable.
Impeccable. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, good.
Actually, when you hear the term oyane, royane, whatever word you can come up with as the best word, like you just came up with the word impeccable, oyane, royane, odiane, rodiane, describes that. It is that. Because to say they are good, it's not enough. It's not a complete proper explanation of what they are. It is understood within the, oh, excuse me, within the I'm at a loss for the word here.
The essence?
Within the condolence ceremony. Within the condolence ceremony, it is said. Now this is coming. Now imagine we're condoling the Oneidas or the Cayugas. And as their chief is there, the male that the female chiefs of those nations put up as their representative, now we would say of them, look how splendid they are. Look how beautiful they are. This is to identify, it's a complete embellishment, a recognition of the embellishment of the human through the mechanisms of the longhouse. It embellishes and makes the human such a perfect, beautiful being that the term oyane, odiane, royane, rodiane, it doesn't do enough to explain. You have to see the living thing of it. When a person is put up, this is what is said. Look how splendid they are. Look how beautiful this being is. It's not just that this person is like a beautiful person physically. No, you're talking about how their spirit shines. And their spirit shines because of the teachings of the Longhouse, the great law of peace, all the responsibilities, all of this, that they are a proactive being. They are not looking for the problems in people. They are fixing the problems in people before the problems in people arise through the way that they assert themselves in the world. The way that they apply it is a peaceful way. It's beautiful. It is a living work of art. To see a female chief, to see a clan mother alive in this world, you are watching the ultimate beauty in creation. And when you see a man who is risen to that title, you are watching the ultimate beauty of the mother of creation, showing how strong her resolve is, because look at what her son can be. This is the power of Longhouse. It's the power of Guyana Rasuraskanagoa. It can change, it does change absolutely everything about your perception in the world, and therefore your place in the world, the way that you are to the world, meaning the way you conduct yourself in relation to everybody else. And so, okay, what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna do those words.
And there's Janet too.
Oh, Janet, yeah, okay, sorry.
My question's very quick. On the last phrase on Ankehon Weniha, or Aunha Tagieri, the last word, Gayeri.
Kayeri. Kayeri.
Yeah, Tagayeri. It reminds me of like the number 9 or 4.
It's number 4.
Yeah, does that have anything to do with that?
Well, it possibly could be, but I don't know at the moment. I'd be taking a guess.
Well, when you say Gayerdi, right away in the longhouse, numbers won't come to mind in as far as like say counting 1 to 10. What will come to mind is the 4 sacred ceremonies. So in the longhouse, you say 4, you're talking about those steps of creation. The first 3 steps, the levels of creation to come into being. And then once the thing is here, the balance. So right away, Gayerdi, the term Gayerdi is a reference to that. When you're speaking outside of reference of numbers.
It actually means proper.
So
Proper. That's the direct translation. It's the proper. Gwenamha is proper.
So then there's something here in learning how to count. Let's say the first life form that was able to identify 1, 2, 3, 4 things that want to eat me. 4 animals that are there that want to eat me. The first thing that is able to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Just there to have it in relation to it being proper. In as far as no other number is like that, right? Why, Gerda?
No.
Okay, so just right there reveals to us that 4 in is that automatic reference of Gayeri Neoriwag. Gayeri Neoriwage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of 4 sacred ceremonies. So again, if you are a longhouse person and you hear Gayerdi, or even something that sounds like it, your mind is automatically thinking of the 4 sacred ceremonies. And that means you're automatically thinking of Astawagoa, Ghana, Dano, Anukasoa. You're automatically thinking of Aduma and then Gayandawana. So this is what is always, 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 I don't care what you think, if I might just be saying this, no, this is always in the mind of a longhouse person. It is never not there. So when you hear references, there is automatically a part of your knowledge base that is accessed in up as opposed to in any other language. You access something specific, a word in English or French, you're accessing a limited part of your knowledge base through those words. And those words are your thoughts. So it's just like if we're talking and you got to say 100 words to communicate something, or if all you have to say is 4 words, then that makes it a lot more simpler in communication. So this means that within the Kanienkeha or all people of the Longhouse, law is the first form of communication, not language, law. It's much different. You might think that to understand law, that in your head you have to have words to be able to think these things to understand what law is. No, law is the physical construct. words are the references to law. And so this is why within the Longhouse, again, you can say one simple word and it will access a complete area of the Longhouse, a complete area of our humanity. So again, it's just to identify that the language that we're learning is really just the start. It's just the foundation to comprehension of physical reality. Okay, that's it now. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna have Wire Gear to go over, say all the words. It's gonna be recorded so everybody knows. Make sure your speakers or microphones are on mute.
Okay.
Whoa, what the heck was that?
Yugo Aguego, Yugo Deri Wayoni, Exa Ogoa. In the Longhouse, everyone is responsible for everyone's children. Onepti Ayugori Wadogahage. We must be responsible in law in all things. Ugwani Gura Gonsu, Nideweta Jiniji, Adowadea Narusage Skana. From inside their minds, their words must manifest to be the true actions in peace. So their mind and body and spirit must be connected. To keep in balance within the nation. The only right way is the continuous being way.
Okay, that's it. All right, that one, the last one, it's a mix of English and just the word ungwe. So we're gonna make a phrase out of this, a catchphrase, and we're gonna place it on social media. So Stephen, you know that you're the cause of this tonight, that this is gonna actually help people to understand things. Because catchphrases, it's just like an ad that you hear on the radio, sticks with you. How many of you remember ads from when you were a kid, about toys that you liked or whatever? So a catchphrase like this will have its long range effects upon the people in as far as being able facilitating transition of knowledge from war into peace. So, okay. Who's with us tonight that hasn't done closing? Everybody's done it, right?
Yeah, everybody.
Okay, well, Stephen, if you don't mind.
He's out. Yeah.
Oh, he's out?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, since he came up with that phrase. All right, well, who else is left here? I can't see.
There's Janet, Franz, Lisa, Harold, Mary-Claude, Elsa, and that's it.
Okay, everybody did it, so let's start over. Well, let's go to you then. You do it. Yeah.
Well,
I could.
Wagatanuni, Agwego Gunungwe, Danarunungwe, Skatne, Kanienkeha. I always forget learning. We're happy that the life givers and the life protectors could come together for this Kanienkeha class. Edituted sista soko, dano aksutan dajus ko panchita, dano negana aksutan dajus ko selsa. Zapotek ni honsage mexican wanerista. Pero niño kinestadista to harage gano sesne, had nyanga hagaga na wage, the wis ni honsage no warage kawanoge. Teiti no warato karun wa karu yahgesu, dano yon kisata santa nakakarakwa, dano yon kinista ni honsage, dana kuego, skatnet, kundung hetzerakawats. Taranyuwago dano sa wiskara, tini kanyat tarakeru, agwego onun kwasua, honeste o sejera dano osera, yadiñato yonata yunida ro diskarua que hay un kiata que hadanda waran hetsera neawe kawatsiri dano katsanhayan. Ya necesitado de Caraguida, na huego diane, da rodiane, ne yo hajiyo, gani gurillo, da no gayanda wana. Gayana la saracoa, da no te querida yo jade, hay un kiata que hadanda, waran hetzeran de gasestan saran de gununwe, da no gayanda wana gasestan sarununwe, da no orihuyo, skana, gasestan sara, da no gariwa warishon sara, da no gatena yo daxa. Eres awet, eres awet, eres awet. So Karina, yo te dice, Wendy.
Hey, just for people's information, you know about the space race that the billionaires are involved in? Well, we've entered that space race also. Tomorrow, we're going to the moon. So those of you who are aware, we're going to be, do we even know what time we're going to the moon tomorrow?
Not yet.
Okay, we're going to the moon in the afternoon sometime. So we're going to try to see how it works once we're at the moon. We're going to try to do a Zoom or a Facebook Live there so people can see us while we're visiting the moon. So we're in the space race. Tomorrow you'll see what that means.
Sasun días, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Love you all.
Just
Hola.
Hola.